We've got it back. The Mini 4 Pro is back. Oh, you didn't know that it was gone? Huh. Well, I guess we have some catching up to do. Let's talk drones. What's up? It's Chris, the Drone Geek, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Drones. Let's Talk Drones is brought to you by The Droning Company, the #1 online resource for commercial remote pilots based in the United States. If you've got your Part 107, make sure you check them out online at thedroningcompany.com and across all major social media platforms. Yeah, regrettably, I have not had the Mini 4 Pro for the past few weeks, and that's a real bummer because I just took a week-long trip to Toronto for work, and it would have been really nice to have had the Mini 4 Pro because if you're not familiar, if you're a foreign pilot flying in Canada, you need one of two things. You either need an SFOC to fly a drone larger than 250 grams. An SFOC is basically like a permission waiver, and you can get those as a Canadian pilot, but it's usually for different types of flights. For foreign pilots to even operate a drone over 250 grams, you need an SFOC, and those take quite a while to process. So I didn't really have the turnaround capable of applying for and obtaining an SFOC to fly the Mavic 3. Instead, I would have taken this, which is considered a micro drone, which is the second prong of those two things. If you have a micro drone, which is 250 grams or less, you are allowed to fly as a foreign pilot without an SFOC. I did not have the Mini 4 Pro for my most recent trip to Canada, which was a real bummer because I would have loved to have flown around Toronto in the areas that I could fly. So we've got it back. I'm trying to focus on the positive there. And you might be asking yourself, well, okay, we've talked about why it stinks you don't have it. We talked about the fact that you didn't have it. What the heck happened? So I was in Louisiana shooting for a client. I was with Sam Karp of the Droning Company and Enhanced Aerial. We were doing some fly-throughs and some subject shots with our drones for a gas and oil company called Reagan Power and Compression and Pegasus Power Solutions. So those two companies hired us to do some drone footage and some video work for a commercial that they are producing. So it was a really exciting job. And what had happened was I took the Mini 4 Pro through one of their manufacturing facilities. Now it's open air. There are giant garage bays in this big building that allow you access to the outside immediately. So we're working in this building. The garage doors are open. And I thought, well, there's no reason the Mini 4 Pro and the Mavic 3 can't fly inside. As long as those garage bay doors are open, we shouldn't have any issues with signal or GPS for that matter. And there was one piece of equipment that they really wanted us to shoot. And I thought this would be a perfect shot for the Mini 4 Pro because I need to sort of hit a tighter area. It's not super tight. It's pretty wide open that you'll see in the footage I'm about to show you, but it was definitely a maneuver that I didn't feel comfortable using the Mavic 3 for, so I thought the Mini 4 Pro would be the perfect replacement, especially since it shoots D-Log-M, which gave us the capability to shoot in the format that the client needed. So I started with the drone facing the machine, and what I'm showing you right now is actually the footage that I shot when I crashed the drone. So I started in front of the machine, and I arced around, and I looped outside of two steel I-beams. There's really more than that, but I really wanted to hit two gaps between two different sections of these I-beams. And the idea was I was giving like a 270-degree look at this machine. Now, you'll notice as I'm flying through that there's absolutely nothing in my flight path. The flight path that the drone ends up taking is completely clear. So I was baffled then when the drone seemingly fell out of the sky. You can imagine my shock. Now, just so we're very, very clear, I was on the floor with the drone about 20 feet away, had visual line of sight. The moment that I crashed or that the drone fell out of the sky, I was looking at the screen on the controller. So the only thing that I saw was the last like 5 feet of descent from the drone, and it was very, very rapid. So it was like all at once. So I see the drone hit the ground and I think, great, what's going on? Now, the Mini 4 Pro is definitely a lightweight drone. There are definitely some delicate parts to this, but overall, I felt pretty confident that it would be okay. Boy, was I wrong. So once I approached the drone, I got to assess the damage, and I found that while the drone itself, including the propellers, the motors, the arms, had survived the fall, the gimbal had not. The gimbal was completely lame duck. There was no motion, there was no motor activity. Anytime I turned the drone on, the gimbal would just sort of hang there like that. So without the gimbal and without the camera functional, I was up the creek without a paddle. Creek? Crick? Crick? Creek? I don't know, you pick. Not to fear though, I was able to get it taken care of, and as you can see here, I do have the DJI Mini 4 Pro back. So we're back in business with the Mini 4 Pro. I'm gonna set this down because I want to talk to you about what this video is actually about. And while I would love to say it's just me reporting the crash, there are some things that I want you to be aware of when it comes to the actual crash and then the service after the crash that DJI provided me. First and foremost, it was really clean service overall. Once I had the case filed and I had the drone in DJI's hands, I had a new replacement DJI Mini 4 Pro within 6 days. It was a really reasonable turnaround time overall. But what I want you to be aware of is why the drone crashed. Now, DJI did not confirm this for me, but I can just go ahead and verify this. I didn't run into anything. I went through, before flying the drone, I had done a pass with the drone that was successful. The same exact shot. The shot that I crashed on was take 2. I should have just settled it well enough after that, but the fact of the matter is, I had to get some redundancy so that I had plenty of different looks at these same shots. So take 2 is where the actual incident happened. But before that, I'd flown successfully through it. I had done a scout of the area to make sure that there was nothing in the path of the Mini 4 Pro. And then after the crash, I also did another scan of the area to see if there was anything in the way that the drone could have gotten caught up on. Nothing. It was totally clear. So that brings me to believe that there was some sort of a failure in the motors somewhere. And the reason that I'm confident in that is because I never lost video feed from the time that the drone fell out of the air and hit the ground. I've got an entire clip that includes all of that. So, and even on the control screen, nothing gave way. I was able to watch it fall all the way to the ground and hit the ground. So there was no issue with signal. There was no issue with any type of communication between the controller and the drone. That leads me to believe that there was something that failed mechanically in the actual propulsion system, and that's what caused the wreck. Because like I said, I scanned the area and there was nothing. There was nothing that drone could have run into. The second thing that I want to touch on has to do with DJI's support system after an incident like this. So this is news to me. It may not be news to you, and in fact, it may be old news at this point. But like I said, this is my first time learning about this, and that is the service fee attached with DJI processing any type of a claim on their drone. In the past, you purchased DJI Care Refresh, you sent it in for an evaluation, and once DJI determined whether or not it was a pilot error or an error within the drone itself, they would then assess a fee or not. Or they would make you cash in one of your Care Refreshes or not, again, depending upon the fault in the situation. This time, to even get the drone to them, they charged me $65. Now, I understand that that part of it is the cost of doing business. It's not something that I think is fair to pass on to the customer. I think once you assess what happened to the drone, after they pay the $65 to put it in front of you, there should be some sort of reimbursement sent back to the customer if it's not the customer's fault. But again, I wasn't going to get super upset over $65. It's not necessarily like something I was happy about, but it is what it is. What I thought was really ridiculous, and what I'm not happy with DJI about, is the way that they just pushed and pushed and pushed the Care Refresh Express. I couldn't really get around it until I got in front of a desktop computer, which was incredibly frustrating. I would try to process a regular Care Refresh. I would try to process a service request inquiry, and every single time they put in front of me the DJI Care Refresh Express, which essentially, if you're not familiar with what that is, you pay the $65 service fee, and then if you want to cash in one of your Care Refreshes, you can go ahead and have them hold like $300, $400 on your card. And then once you receive the drone and they receive the damaged drone, that's then put back in your account. They never take it out. That's not how an authorization hold works. But essentially, DJI holds on to $300 to $400 of your money. And then once they get the drone that you crashed back, they release that hold so that it shows up in your account again. So it just was a weird thing. And it's not so much the program. The program's fine. I think that's actually a really good idea for people that need a quick turnaround on their Care Refresh, whether it's for a project or if there's something time sensitive going on. I think it's great they implemented that. What I don't like is that it took me getting on a desktop computer to figure that out. I was not able to see any option for any other service agreement on my laptop, on my phone, on my tablet, nothing. It may have been there, but if it was in the fine print because I couldn't process anything besides that express care refresh without my desktop computer. So just be aware of that. You do not have to go that route. DJI still offers the repair service. They still offer a standard care refresh. The Express is great, like I said, in certain scenarios, but not all of us need the drone on a quick turnaround. So don't let that happen to you. Make sure you dig, make sure you get sat down at a desktop computer, or maybe you have a Windows laptop. I had a MacBook that would make it easier to see, but just be very careful when you are processing any type of service repair inquiry or request, or any type of care refresh request as well. If you don't need the Express Care Refresh, do not cave. And again, that's not said with any type of malice. I think it's a great program that DJI has, but what I think it could end up doing is really upsetting a lot of people in the process if they aren't clear on what the terms of the agreement are on that Express Care Refresh. So just keep that in mind. $400 not available in your bank account, even though you still have it, not available, is nothing to scoff at. Anyway, I'm moving forward. I'm happy. Again, the overall experience was not bad. DJI did it again, came through, got me a replacement drone for the DJI Mini 4 Pro. So I am a happy camper, and you can bet after not flying this for a few weeks, I'm really excited to get back out there and film some Christmas lights with it. That's going to be the first test we put it up to. I'm also going to continue doing my review videos on it because those were cut woefully short for me. So we'll do a few more review videos on the Mini 4 Pro now that we've got it back. Did you like this video? Let me know by hitting the thumbs up icon down below. If you really like this video and you love drone content made by drones, about drones, and for drone pilots, well, my friend, this is the channel for you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And while you're at it, hit the bell icon too. You'll get a notification every time I post a new video. Until next time, I'm Chris, the Drone Geek. This is the DJI Mini 4 Pro, and we're out of here. See ya.
Yo, what you say? Steady screaming, YOLO.